Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Good evening, viewers. My name is James Ireri. Welcome for today's show, Man Unveiled. What a great privilege to be here, to be able to connect, to be able to equip, to be able to talk to one another. And on set, we have a very wonderful co-host and a guest also. And I'm very privileged to have my brother here. Kindly introduce yourself as we start the show, Man Unveiled.
Thank you, Jim. My name is Wanyoike. Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be here. It's a pleasure, always a pleasure to be present here, to be able to talk to us men, and to be able to shape our future, O King of all glory, that we may be able to make even the younger men become better.
Great. What a wonderful time to be here with you. It's just a honor. I know you have a lot of wealth of information and knowledge, and we want to squeeze and get the much juice we can from you. Good. Therefore, we don't take it for granted, Anthony. Thank you so much. We will embark on our conversation. We have been delving on man as a provider, as a series, and we have come at that stage now that we need to be able to be very realistic and bring everything on the table. And the last time we had a conversation, we were building up content in terms of building up men to become providers in the business, in the marketplace. And we have been empowering, we have been trying to build and talk about men in the entrepreneurship, men in the employment field. We spoke a lot of things. And just to recap of our last conversation, we had laid about the three components of a person in the entrepreneurship. We said that we need to build up on the entrepreneurship as a skill. We need to build up on the technical and the management. Those are the three areas that we covered, isn't it?
Yes.
So today we are going to dig deeper and even go to the core of the whole concept of people going out, who are employed, who are in the employment, and to try to build people in that capacity.
Yes.
So my brother, welcome. Let's roll it on.
Thank you so much, Jim, once again.
Yes.
Just to recap very quickly, we mentioned about those three skills as the component, the entrepreneurial skills.
Yes.
And we said one is this person is a risk taker, this person is passionate about going out there. This is a person who is very easy in terms of socialization.
Yes.
This is a person who looks at things and is able to add value.
True.
We said those are the entrepreneurial skills.
Yes.
We also talked about the technical skills, and we said a lot of these technical skills are actually learned.
Yes.
If you look at the other one, they look more or less of inward traits.
Yes.
But these ones, they actually learned. You find someone went to school, did accounting, so they are able to look at the finances in a very easy way. They're very easy with the numbers.
Yes.
It could be someone who went to school and trained as a teacher.
Yes.
Or went to a school of engineering and came out as an electrical engineer.
Yes.
That is the technical skill, which is also a key component when you're trying to do business. The other one that we talked about is the managerial skills, looking at the processes and the procedures, looking at the people, looking at the resources, bringing all resources together so that you can actually mix them and bring out the business in them.
Awesome.
So those three areas. Now, looking at employment, like you said,
the contrast and the similarities.
The contrast between employment and entrepreneurship. I think let me first of all explain that when you say you are employed, you can be in what you call contract of employment, where you are actually permanent. You work at a certain company. So you're actually a permanent employee, earning, getting an income every month, several years, you're permanent. You could also be working with, which you have a contract for. In this case, what you're doing is you work for a certain period of time. It could be for 1 year, for 1 week, for 1 month. That's also a way of employment. But on the other side, when you're talking about enterprise or being an entrepreneur or a businessman or woman, you're actually in there trying to mix all the resources that you have and utilizing the skills that we've mentioned about and experiences to be able to earn a living.
Great.
Now, when you look at employment, it means first there must be the employer. There's a place where you actually go to. And there are many ways of being employed. Could be a company, could be in a household, could be in a small setup. Right? And in employment and in career, you find, and in entrepreneurship, sorry, you find there are similarities. In both cases, you start small. Jim, last time we talked about when you're in business, start small, learn, and then scale up. The same case in career. You actually start from the low cadre of a job. Look at them. Even engineers, you start as a technician, an accountant, as a clerk.
In fact, they start from draftsman.
Craftsman. Draftsman.
Yes.
So right from the beginning.
Yes.
As a teacher, some even start as an untrained teacher. As a nurse, you find you just a basic nurse, just doing what you call accepting client and checking the vital signs. And then you grow into that career. So all in both cases, you actually find that you start small or you start at the low cadre.
So I think, as you explained, it sounds like a very interesting journey to walk with.
Yes.
And I believe that there's no time that is perfect to start, isn't it?
No.
And I think everybody should appreciate where they are at this specific time.
Sure.
And there's nothing permanent, isn't it?
Sure.
You can always improve and go to the next level, isn't it?
Actually, all of us need to know that you actually begin there.
Yes.
Let me bring it closer home.
Yes.
Jesus actually started by walking with the parent until
true.
At a certain age where he actually left the parent and actually he was somewhere else.
Yes.
And this is very common. Look at David as a shepherd, eventually becoming a king.
True.
So we all go to start small as providers.
And
that is the way it actually is.
Yes.
Look at Joseph.
Yes.
The son of Jacob, where he was as a little boy, just there, and eventually coming to the level very high. I mean, second in rank in Pharaoh's, so to speak, kingdom. So we all go to learn to start small, whether you are in employment or you are in business. So the second thing, first is what you call the learning curve. In both cases, there's a learning curve. Don't get into business and behave like a know-it-all. You know nothing until you actually start finding that you're actually growing. In the same case at the place of work, you actually learn from others. I listened to someone yesterday, still on Elevate TV, who was saying, you may come to me with your degree, with your doctorate and all that, but you don't have any experience. No wonder employers keep on saying, we need people with experience so that they give you to a certain level. But we urge them to still accept us when you are very small, when you are very basic, when you are beginners, so that we can actually grow in them. So there's a learning curve. And initially you find like you don't know. Then you get to a place where you actually learn very fast.
I want to interject you and ask you. Many people will ask and they look at us and say, these guys are not being real. People are here with their certificates and professional achievements. And they're being asked for 5 years experience. So sometimes it's there's a very thin balance, because some of them have not acquired that experience. What would you say about them, or to them?
I think when you look at those people, when they're saying that, it is lack of knowledge. And the Bible says we perish due to lack of knowledge. There's always a beginning point. And then even before you say you're employed, look at what is happening. After 5 years in the school of law, the lawyers are actually sent to the Kenya School of Law again for 1 year. Recently, the Ministry of Education actually said that moving forward, all teachers after 4 years of a degree in education, they'll go for 1 year for what we call it a PGDE, postgraduate diploma in education, so that you can actually be sharpened, so that you can become better. So everybody must know that we got to start somewhere, and then you grow in the learning curve. The other thing that you learn is that in no environment you work with people, whether in business or you're in employment. And you work actually with various people. And you all must recognize that God gave us human beings is the biggest resource that is actually available and that you have to interact with. In fact, you have no business if you're not dealing with people. I wonder where you will have it. You got to have people. So whether those people are your customer or they connect you to the customer or they are reporting to you or you are reporting to them, or you are playing at the same level. It got to be.
Wow.
Even in the sporting arena.
Yes.
I mean, you got to be held hand,
yes,
and you start walking,
yes,
for you to be able to get there. This is how it is.
Yes.
You go to work with others.
Yes.
And then the other thing that is very similar is you grow into managerial,
yes,
into leadership as you go on,
and, yes,
and supervision and managerial, yes, roles.
Yes.
And this is what happens. Every time you begin, yes, whether in business, yes, or in career,
yes,
in employment,
yes,
what happens is you are more of a doer.
Yes.
You know, say that the person is referred, yes, to as Drotzman.
Yes.
All the time, 100% is a doer.
Yes.
Sedio?
Yes.
All the time is actually a doer.
Yes.
The same case happens to a person opening a small business.
True.
They wake up in the morning, they open,
yes,
they sweep,
yes,
they clean,
yes,
they arrange their, yes, wares, they are always engaged.
Yes.
With time, you actually outgrow that.
Yes.
And you find that you start supervising.
Yes.
Other people open the door for you.
True.
Other people sweep. Other people arrange.
Yes.
You start now getting into a leadership role.
Yes.
So all of us need to know, much as you started small, you actually at a point where you'll also grow.
Yes.
And as you grow, then you also need to get into a place I call succession planning.
Yes.
That
before we go to succession planning,
thank you.
Succession planning,
yes,
I want us to appreciate the process,
good,
of starting. Because no, succession is more of exit, isn't it?
Yes.
Or trying to pass the baton to somebody else.
You're basically making an arrangement to exit.
Yes.
Yes.
I want us to look at this person who has had all the skills, but have not had opportunities to work.
Yes.
I remember there's a time we mentioned here that people can volunteer.
Yes.
And go and offer their services, yes, for free,
yes,
so that they get the experience required, isn't it?
Exactly.
What would you like to say about that?
Thank you, Jim. Thank you for taking me back. All of us needs to know that you don't have to start where you're being paid.
Yes.
In actual fact, many of us started where we are actually not earning a single bob.
Yes.
That did not stop anyone from growing.
Yes.
Because you can actually offer yourself as a volunteer,
yes,
in the field of your specialization, in the area of your career,
yes,
in the business that you want to get into.
Yes.
You actually go there and learn,
yes,
and you actually say you have nothing, nothing to earn.
Yes.
In actual fact, some people pay.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
when you're learning, yes, when you're beginning, you
yes,
actually pay as a volunteer, yes,
to
be allowed to,
yes,
get in
to
there.
Go and get that skill.
Look at it this way. When they tell you that you go for attachment,
yes,
or even for internship, they
yes,
tell you go and bring us a medical insurance.
Yes.
So you have a cover for
yes,
personal accident.
True.
They tell you be paying for your own fare.
Yes.
In this company, we don't offer food.
Yes.
So in actual fact, you are paying,
yes,
for you to be able to begin.
True.
So volunteership can actually go up to that level,
yes,
where you are actually paying,
yes,
for you to be able to get experience,
wow, and
be able to jot it down on your CV,
yes,
to say, I have experience of 3 months,
yes,
6 months,
yes,
and such.
Yes.
Some of us have offered ourselves actually those years,
yes,
as volunteers,
yes,
to the less disadvantaged, yes, in the society.
Yes.
And other companies came on board. I
yes,
remember I worked with a company,
yes,
don't know whether I mentioned, yes, to you, it was called Can Do from,
yes,
Japan.
Yes.
And I was working with them to be able to bring out,
yes,
some good stuff from, yes, people from disadvantaged,
wow,
residents of actually Nairobi.
Yes.
And I did that for quite some time,
yes,
until they got to a place where they were paying me 170 bob,
yes,
in a week.
Yes.
You know, in a week, 170?
Wow,
it was still money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think that's it's a kind of humility in service, servanthood, isn't it?
Yes.
Because at first we must all recognize that when God placed us here, it is for the service of humanity, isn't it?
Yes.
And every time when you look for an opportunity sometime and you don't find one when they are looking for you,
yes,
offer yourself.
Yes.
Along the way, I remember I've heard and read about a certain gentleman who offered himself in a place of a place that he wanted to be, and he offered himself to be doing the manual jobs, yeah,
yes,
to be doing the errands here and there,
yes,
to be cleaning the place, but he was a qualified person, but there was no opportunity. But he
yes,
said, in this organization, I will offer my services for free.
Yes.
So in the process of offering his services for free for a very long time, like 2 or 3 years, one time an opportunity arose in the management, and who else knew this job than this person, and he got that opportunity.
Wow.
So I'm encouraging somebody who is listening there that sometimes opportunities are covered.
Yes.
And for you to unpackage them, sometimes you have to go out.
Yes.
And do something that necessarily may not bring something back to you at that time, isn't it?
That's very true.
And I think that is that's where we begin our journey.
That's true.
Although there are some people who are privileged to have started off immediately from school, and they get a job and their lives continue in the career path. Yeah.
Very good.
Yes.
Last week,
yes,
I remember talking about what one of the quotes of John Maxwell.
Yes.
That ability is what you're capable of doing.
Yes.
And at the tail end, we are saying attitude determines how well you do it.
Yes.
And I remember mentioning that that ability can be in different areas.
True.
I know of this young man who is said to have completed his degree in economics.
Yes.
Yet he was actually a driver.
Yes.
And he learned that a certain employee at the World Bank was actually looking for a driver.
Yes.
He actually went for the interview with the driving license for a driver and kept his degree aside. Yes. You know, the certificate aside. And then he used to work with this man. 3 months down the road, the person that he was actually chauffeuring asked, tell me, you speak good English. You sound like you understand a couple of things. Tell me about yourself. And that is when the guy disclosed that he was actually a graduate. And he said, you know what? We are actually looking for economists. Economists. And the guy got a job with the World Bank. So you can also volunteer in an area, not necessarily the one that you're actually targeting, but you got to know that you got to begin somewhere.
He was in the right zone. He was in the right place.
Right environment. He was ready. And now he comes and says, I can offer you this service. Do that which you are actually called to do. And the one that you've chosen to do, and do it excellently well.
And that's why most of the teachers about purpose, they say that what you're called to do or what you're built for, you can do it even for free, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Because it's not the pay that motivates you.
Sure.
It's it's that fulfillment in that purpose. And therefore, that's why I usually talk to people and tell them that the sooner you identify and align yourself in your purpose, the more you start feeling more fulfillment. It may not bring a lot of money in your pocket, but it brings an inner satisfaction, isn't it?
I totally agree.
And I think that's what it's all about. Life, it's about fulfilling your purpose. And the last time we spoke here about Myers Munro, and he said that one of the greatest places where there's a lot of wealth is in the graveyard, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
Because many people had very high potential in some matters, but they let them go because of the path they had followed.
That's true.
And we are not trying to discourage people who are following their careers. Some of them are in the right path. And some of them need to keep on reviewing and seeing whether they're in the right place. And continuously evaluating, isn't it?
Evaluating.
The last time we said that the greatest journey you can walk is to keep on checking yourself against reviewing yourself, isn't it? Self-evaluation.
Yeah, self-evaluation.
Yes. And even in entrepreneurship, there is that need for evaluation, isn't it? So that you don't keep on in a certain zone and you are not progressing. And you need to check yourself against time and also against the objective, isn't it? What would you like to say about that, Anthony?
I think we talked about it last time, and we said those people who are doing self-evaluation and knowing very well that even when you take a journey, it is never a straight path. You will actually face challenges. There are bumps, there are valleys, there are mountains and hills that you actually go to navigate. So every time you go back and do a self-evaluation and check, like we said last time, your strength, your weaknesses, what opportunities are available, and what threats are actually coming on your way, so that you are able to tweak, to adjust, to calibrate the journey and be able to walk towards your destiny. What you don't change is your target. But the walk got to change. With time, you'll actually be able to find now you are on a path that it is actually straight. It could be narrow, but end of it, you'll be able to hit the target.
I think you've just reminded me about the journey and about preparing for such a discourse. You must be prepared because ahead of you, you see, like for example, a ship, when it has docked, the shores are very peaceful. But if you're going to take a voyage to another continent, for example, you have to pass through the deep waters. And I think it's also important for people to learn that along the journey, some hurdles will present themselves.
And it doesn't matter whether it is in the business world
or in the employment.
Either way.
Hurdles will present themselves.
They will. They will. And it is actually how you play the handles that actually takes us to the outcome.
Yes.
That tells us
yes.
whether you'll be able to come out
yes.
as a mature and well honed employee
even,
or
yes.
businessman.
So even the more need to be well equipped, isn't it?
Oh yes.
So that you don't reach at the middle of the sea and you don't have a skill to navigate further, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think as you have labored on that point about building capacity, preparing for the unknown.
Yes.
I think every person in the career or in the entrepreneur, they need to foresee and
yes.
see how to navigate.
Yes.
Because hurdles will present themselves.
They will.
Are there some hurdles that you'd like to share with us that are very obvious for an entrepreneur or somebody in the career?
There's someone who wrote about handles, but I also want to speak about them in a very easy way.
Yes.
I think the first thing is information.
Yes.
One of the handles that you actually are supposed to jump
yes.
is the one for information.
Yes.
And what happens is most of us get into business without adequate information yes. as to what happens around there. Luckily, you will never get 100%. So granted, if you don't have, yes. you still need to start. But what you need to do is engage in terms of research.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So when you get into it and you determine that that is actually your course,
yes.
what you need to do is then do market research.
Okay.
Do feasibility study.
Yes.
Ensure that every other time you are increasing your level of knowledge.
Yes.
By reading books,
yes.
by searching in the internet,
yes.
by talking to people.
True.
There are actually people, I'm sure you've heard about this, people who are not knowledgeable,
yes.
but they were business people.
Yes.
And what they would do is buy newspapers
yes.
and even call people who are knowledgeable to read for them
yes.
and interpret what they're talking about in
yes.
terms
and
of
the opportunities
the business
available.
section,
yes.
the business
yes.
opportunities available.
Yes.
So that is one of the handles.
Yes.
Information is so key
yes.
because you'll never be able to move without.
Yes.
The second one is finances.
Yes.
Initially, you may think that you have enough capital. You
True.
may think you have a very good business plan.
Yes.
But only to find that you required actually more.
Yes.
Or whatever you had actually saved or invested in
yes.
the first place
yes.
is actually not enough.
Yes.
So there's very little that you actually find in small businesses
yes.
to be able to do that.
Yes.
So you then taken aback.
Is this a hurdle? Is this a hurdle for at the onset or during the journey?
Entire journey.
Okay.
From the beginning to the entire journey.
Okay.
I mean, to the
information gathering,
information
gathering,
then the financial, and it is not just the mobilization, even the way you manage the finances.
Yes.
Because you need all that
yes.
so that you're able to move on. So
yes.
you may require more finances
yes.
and you don't have.
Yes.
So you also need to be trained
yes.
in that area
yes.
for you to be able to handle that.
Yes.
The other one is about people.
Yes.
I mean, this story was given to me. I don't know whether he's watching, Professor, if you're there, Professor Mugweru.
Yes.
Professor Mugweru taught me human
yes.
resource management.
Yes.
And he said, Anthony, if you're managing a few people and they're giving you some sort of headache,
yes.
don't worry. In the Garden of Eden, there were only two.
Yes.
Under the Almighty.
Yes.
And they still defied the Almighty. They
yes.
had everything.
Yes.
So that is the other handle.
Yes.
Managing people. People are
yes.
difficult.
Yes.
People is not an easy resource to manage. It's
yes.
actually the biggest
they're the greatest tool.
They're the greatest tool that you have.
Yes.
But it's not easy.
Yes.
So again, when you learn those skills, you're able to know how to work with them.
Yes.
Know that they're different types of people, different temperament.
Yes.
You know, different way they present themselves.
Yes. Yes.
And then you'll be able to know where to position them and how to utilize them.
Wow.
They also say that when you're doing the business, you may want to start now checking the person who is actually your confidant.
Yes.
And this is very important.
Yes.
We think that they're not important. They're very important.
Yes.
So we all need to have a person who is a confidant.
Like because a mastermind of some sort.
Sometimes you may get into challenges. And those challenges that you're getting into, there's no one actually to help you. And it could be something very simple.
Yes.
Very simple and very direct. And you talk to a person and says, come on, you mean it was this simple? I needed to present myself, go for example, medical certification. I was worried because I'm coughing.
Yes.
You know, something like that.
Yes, yes.
Or it could be something else in terms of that resource, in terms of money.
Yes.
And when you have that close confidant, then you are able actually to use that particular person.
I think they're the same kind of people called the mastermind group.
Yeah.
And for helping to brainstorm.
Yes.
And to be able to see through your plan and for example to walk along with you.
Yes.
So I think it's also important for people not to walk alone,
No, you don't walk alone.
And I know there's a club that says never walk alone.
Yes.
But I'm talking about the club. But the point is, don't walk alone on this journey. Share with someone. Sometimes people fear they may share the idea and somebody will run with it. Yeah.
Yes.
And probably when you share with somebody, they're going to build up that idea so that it becomes a bit more nobler. In fact, I read somewhere they say there's no new idea that has never been explored.
No.
There's no new idea. Most of the things that you are thinking about, if you look very well, somebody else may have tried that.
Very true.
So probably even the more reason why you should not fear.
Actually, sometimes you think you have a very noble idea.
Yes.
Only to share with the person tells you, by the way, that you're digging your own pit.
Yes.
No, you're digging your own pit.
Your own pit, yes.
Don't touch that one. This is actually the way to go.
Yes.
Before we continue along that path, allow me to mention about succession planning.
Yes, as we are almost preparing for our break.
Very good.
I think just mention so that in the next
in employment, you also need to know who is going to take over the role that you're actually undertaking presently.
Yes.
That is very critical.
Yes.
The same case in business.
Yes.
You got to keep on asking yourself, today I'm doing all this. Who will take the human resource? Who will take the finance side? Who will take this other side?
Yes.
As you grow older, as you develop your business, always ask yourself, who will be the next CEO?
Yes.
Who will be the next
We will tackle that. We will tackle that in our next session. I think it's just a lot of information coming through.
Yes.
And I believe this information will be of great benefit to the listeners and viewers.
Yes.
Because you'll be more informed.
Yes.
And they said information is power. Knowledge is power, isn't
Knowledge
it?
is power.
So the more you are informed, the more you are aware of your environment, the more you are aware of the opportunities around you. Keep tuned. We are about to take a short break and we'll be back shortly. Thank you so much for watching.
There is no town, there is no city, there is no nation without fathers.
They went before us and set the stage of what we see in the gospel today.
It's immediately when I got saved.
Wow.
The Lord placed in my heart passion for souls.
They fought the battles and prepared the way.
They were told this miracle worker is here from Kenya. He has troubled so many churches in Kenya. Troubled. Be careful. Others said he's a false prophet, but the sick did not listen to that. They needed it.
What did they do that we are not doing?
We believed the word of God that it is true. I believe the word of God that by his stripes I was healed.
Do not fear, for you will not be ashamed.
The gospel then and the gospel now.
God says, do not be dismayed.
We didn't have the technical gospel that people have today. If you believe, bow your head, raise your hand, come forward. No. No. People just stood up and began to repent by themselves.
Wow.
Others crying on the floor, saying, save me, save me, save me.
Oh, Jesus.
Tracing the mantles.
Great. Welcome back to the show, Man Unveiled, this evening. What a great time to be able to connect and to be able to share nuggets of wisdom, nuggets of entrepreneur experience that can build you up, especially in terms of becoming that provider in your family and in your society. Anthony, before we took the break, we were just starting some dimensions about succession. But before we go to succession, because we know that it's a big topic and we'll handle it at a later time, tell us about the contrast, because we are talking about people who want to venture in entrepreneur and some people who are in the career path. What are the contrasts that somebody should look for?
Good.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Viewers, I know many a times you actually caught up in that dilemma. You are in employment and you still want to go and do business.
Yes.
You're in business and you're still looking for a job.
Yes.
So what is this that is actually happening around there?
Yes.
I want to mention some of the contrast in that arena,
yes,
so that you're able to pick up things and be able to look at them.
Yes, Anthony.
But let me put a disclaimer here. Not
yes,
all of us can become entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And not all of us are actually born businessmen.
Yes.
Some of us are meant to be employed,
yes,
and grow into a career,
yes,
and make a very huge impact.
Yes.
Because those companies, some of them have got a population of 3,000 people,
yes,
or even 100.
Yes.
And even though are 5,
yes,
you are making an impact.
Yes.
So these are some of the contrasts.
Yes.
I think the first one is when you're in employment, you have a predictable pay.
Yes.
So
you are assured.
You are assured,
yes,
that at the
until
end of the
when
month,
the
and I
COVID
know,
came,
and I know you know this,
came.
and
yes,
I know you know this.
Yes.
But you're still asking yourself why.
Yes.
The other environment, it's not as predictable.
Yes.
Do not be beckoned,
yes,
by the fact that someone told me they
yes,
earned 100,000.
Yes.
They hit $1 million.
Yes.
Or a jackpot, like
yes,
Jim would say.
Yes.
You may hit a jackpot and use the same jackpot,
yes,
to invest,
yeah,
and
true,
the whole of it is actually a white
it's
in a
true,
day.
it's
So it's more predictable.
Yes.
In the other side, it is not.
Yes.
That does not mean that it is bad.
Yes.
The other side is you have days of relaxing.
Yes.
Very easy days,
yes,
called Saturday,
yes,
Sunday,
yes,
and even a whole month leave. Could be 21 days.
They plan.
You even plan
yes,
with them. You know, you're able to plan that, and
yes,
you're able to relax.
Yes.
The other side you may not be able to do, especially when you're beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you cannot take a break,
yes,
because you're an entrepreneur.
Yes.
But it's not as planned as you start.
Yes.
It actually gets better as you move along.
Yes.
So it can actually get better.
Yes.
The other side is what you call the social security.
Yes.
And especially when you think about things like NSSF.
Yes.
You know,
the retirement benefits.
Retirement benefit.
Yes.
And
yes,
you start saying, you know, when I retire, I'll be able
yes,
to get.
Yes.
Get into business and be one that
yes,
you may not be able to do that
yes,
unless you plan yourself
yes,
very well. It is possible to do it,
yes,
but it is actually not guaranteed.
Yes.
No one says that it must be done.
Yes.
The other thing is we call them other benefits.
Yes.
I mean, there's so many benefits.
So many benefits.
When you report in there,
yes,
for those of you who get newspaper, you read,
yes,
a cup of tea,
yes,
you could even get lunch.
Yes.
You have a medical cover.
Yes.
You know, you may have travel allowance.
Yes.
And you're looking at all those things and you say, can I leave this one? If you're called to go out and do business, please go out there, you get more.
Yes.
I mean, I would say so. But these ones are actually very, very predictable,
yes,
when you look at those things. The other thing that you get is free training.
Yes.
You remember we were talking about,
yes,
please join somebody,
yes,
and get some training.
Yes.
Run your own business.
Yes.
I can tell you, for 20 years, you may not have seen any trainer.
Or if you get a trainer, you have
even
to pay
up to
them.
even up to the end.
No, you have to
I'm
pay
saying
them. Yes.
there are those who will go there and you're not getting.
Yes.
So we want to bring the people to understand what do they need to
and
do.
also to maximize.
What do they need
Isn't
to do?
It?
Yes.
The people who are employed to
yes,
maximize on those opportunities.
On those opportunities,
yes,
so that you can actually learn.
Yes.
We also talked about where you are, there will be people who want to become comfortable because they're actually in employment.
Yes.
If you become comfortable, you also don't grow.
Yes, you don't grow.
But how can you flip these benefits and be able to make them your benefit in employment? I want
yes,
to touch that in a very short while.
Yes.
First, we talked about you have a predictable pay.
Yes.
When you get into profitability,
yes,
pay yourself a salary.
Awesome, yes.
The same thing. You are employed,
yes,
but now you're on this other side.
Yes.
Pay yourself a salary.
Yes.
And that now becomes predictable.
Yes.
So that the profit is what probably you say, I'm going to give myself a dividend at the end of the quarter,
yes,
half year,
yes,
and end of the year.
Yes.
But once you get into profitability, your business
yes,
is there, put a salary.
Pay yourself.
So that there's something that you know for sure
true,
will come through.
True.
That tries
that's
to balance.
very, very important.
Thank you.
I've listened to many financial advisors.
Yes.
And that is an area that they have really emphasized on.
Yeah.
People paying themselves.
Yes.
You don't throw everything back again without first rewarding yourself, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Let me quickly touch on the 4 factors of production, and yes, I think maybe I've mentioned them again.
Yes.
The land, labor, employment, and entrepreneur.
Yes.
That labor,
yes,
is what you are paid for when you're employed.
True.
That labor is what you give
yes,
when you're in your own business.
Yes.
Pay yourself.
Yes.
Always remember that you need to.
Yes.
And if it's about a business where you've constructed the house
yes,
and the premises,
yes,
pay yourself land, which
wow,
is rent.
yes,
because you're supposed to pay and be able to earn that.
Yes.
That is why we need to talk about these things.
Yes.
About leave planning,
yes,
become one person who can also plan for leave. It can be, you say, 1 day in a week, you have 6 hours. So you'll be reporting in the afternoon.
So you're not
Yes.
24/7.
24/7.
Yes.
With time,
Yes.
you'll be able to see that you can employ someone to supervise, you do the rest of the thing that you need to do, and probably disappear for a week.
And as you
for your
discuss
leave.
about the leave, you
Yes.
remember in our previous show, one of the shows, we talked about the wheel of life?
Yes.
And we say there's a component that is very key. It's a
Yes.
segment
Yes.
of fun and entertainment,
Yes.
and taking a rest, isn't
Yes,
it?
yes.
Because our bodies require rest.
Yes.
Because they're the ones which are carrying us to do those roles.
Certainly.
And they need quantity and qualitative rest, isn't it?
That's true.
To be able to rejuvenate, isn't it?
Actually, that is it.
Yes.
God on the seventh day, what did
Yes,
he do?
he rested.
He rested.
Yes.
I mean, we can simply buy from him
Yes.
that analogy and say you can actually rest.
So most of the entrepreneurs burn out, Anthony.
They actually burn out. And that is why you find they burn out in their own businesses and they have no one else to succeed them.
Yes.
Because they have kept all the details
All the
to
roles.
themselves. All the roles and everything. And especially the small ones, the
Yes.
SMEs.
Yes.
The other one is about the social security,
Yes.
the retirement benefit. Yes, we said it is given there and you may not find it in
Yes.
business. Today it is actually possible.
Yeah, you can arrange. You can have some arrangement.
You can actually do it directly.
Yes.
You can
I think-
go through those retirement benefits
Yes.
authority administrators
Yes.
who actually have been allowed to administrate on pension.
And we should encourage people to
You
do
could
that.
also actually do your own savings.
Yes.
You can buy unit trust and all that,
Yes.
and you'll actually be able to see your money.
yes.
It's the same thing. Even when you're in employment, you give a portion, your employer gives a portion. In some employment, you actually only give your portion.
Yes.
There's no other.
Yes.
So you could also make such arrangement.
Yes.
The other one about getting to comfort zone. In business, you cannot get.
Yes.
That is the beauty.
Yes.
You can
You're
get
always on your
comfortable
toes.
in employment.
Yes.
In business, you can.
You're always
I mean,
on your
basically,
toes.
you see your numbers going
Yes,
south.
declining, yes.
Yeah, they're going south.
Yes.
And because you're watching, you actually say, oh no, I cannot afford to do this. Then in terms of training, like you said,
Yes.
make arrangement to be trained.
Yes.
Don't behave like you know it all.
Yes.
They are actually people to come and train you on
true.
financial,
Yes.
on managing people, even in terms of your leave planning.
Yes.
Even in terms of planning for your people.
Yes.
All these things can actually be trained.
Yes.
And people will actually be able to get better
Yes.
if you look at that.
Yes.
All other benefits can actually also be bought.
Yes.
Today you can actually have your own medical cover.
Yes.
You can make arrangement for any other benefit, even for holiday.
Yes.
And you say the business will actually be paying for that. The beauty of running a business
Yes.
is you can actually take all those expenses. The
But
KRA has allowed
Anthony, I think as we're looking at the contrast, I'm looking at somebody who is seated in an office or has a very stable job, and at one point they feel persuaded as if there is some greener pasture
Yes.
in the entrepreneur side.
Yes.
And they are hesitant because
Yes.
of the fears and the uncertainties that you have already mentioned.
Yes.
What would you like to tell them? Is there a perfect time that they may transition to the other sector?
I'll say like my former boss used to tell me
Yes.
in one of the companies that you're never ready to take any role.
Yes.
Never.
Yes.
Even today, if you're told you now the manager of this enterprise called
Yes.
Elevate TV,
Yes.
you are never 100% ready.
Yes.
You will never be 100% ready to enter into business.
Yes.
All you need to do, if you're not so bold,
Yes.
start small.
Yes.
That's word small must always be. So that once you enter
Yes.
and you're able to see,
Yes.
then and you see the ability, the likelihood of you to be able to scale up,
Yes.
you can actually exit. They always say, don't leave your employment
Yes.
and jump into business.
Yes.
Tomorrow you may actually be looking for that job.
I think actually there's something I want you to talk about, yeah?
Yes.
Because I know you are a man of integrity.
Yes.
There's a very thin line for
Yes.
people who are fully employed,
Yes.
8 to 5,
Yes.
some of them trying to hive some hours to
Yes.
do side hustles
Yes.
in the official hours that they have been employed.
Yes.
And they say that this is what I can do with my extra time, yeah?
Yes.
And they end up taking up the hours of the employer.
Yes.
What would you like to speak to them?
No. That one is it's not supposed to happen at any given time.
Yes.
At all time.
Yes.
You're supposed to give your employer what is rightfully theirs.
Yes.
Employed 8 to 5,
Yes.
work 8 to 5.
Yes. And no conflict of
No
interest.
conflict of interest
Yes.
in terms of the type of business that you're actually doing,
Yes.
one,
Yes.
in terms of the amount of time that you're actually taking,
Yes.
or the resources available
Yes.
that you're taking them into your business.
Yes.
That should never happen. When you make that decision
Yes.
and you transition,
Yes.
exit.
Yes.
Unless there is a window for you
Yes.
to do a declaration.
Yes.
So that you declare
Yes.
that you're actually getting into this,
Yes.
and the company allows you.
Yes.
There must be
Yes.
a place of consent
Yes.
that you have been actually been approved for
Yes.
to go and get into the business
Yes.
and be able to work.
Yes.
But even then,
Yes.
integrity tells me
Yes.
that you need to declare properly
Yes.
so that you don't have something to hide.
Yes.
And you say, you know what, it's actually time for me to go.
Yes.
So you don't step into that
Yes.
and you're trying to do 50-50.
Yes.
You don't do
And
that.
I think I remembered some wisdom of a certain man who says that it doesn't go wrong, it starts wrong.
It starts wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, actually it is true.
Yeah, when the foundation is built on the wrong place,
Yes.
you'll always feel as if you are giving too much to the employer.
Yes.
While at the same time, the employer is paying for the hours.
Exactly.
So I think there must be that very deliberate, integral part of every person.
Can I speak to it a little
Yes.
bit? When you think you're actually being paid less,
Yes.
you need always to remember the
Yes.
time that you signed the contract,
Yes.
the time that you sat down and agreed,
Yes.
and you said this is actually what you're going to take home.
Yes.
There's no other argument.
Yes.
Servants must obey their masters.
Amen.
It's actually in the book of
Yes.
Timothy.
Yes.
Servant must,
Yes.
and they must do it with the whole of their heart.
Yes.
You see?
Yes.
And therefore, when you make that decision,
Yes.
you got to do it that way until the next cycle
Yes.
when you're supposed to discuss. And sometimes the discussion
Yes.
is not about increment.
Yes.
It is about reducing.
Yes.
That is what happened with COVID.
Yes.
And you got to also understand,
Readjustment, yes.
adjust,
Yes.
and be able to get in there.
Yes.
The same case happens even to your own business.
Yes.
I mean, people find it easier when it is their own business.
Yes.
So you find I'm not making as much money,
You need
and
to
therefore
scale down.
I need to scale down in
Yes.
terms of my expenditure.
And I think it's
the
okay.
same case we are all supposed to do. Even those who are working in government,
Yes.
they should actually be the first one to say,
Yes.
we're working for this government
Yes.
with several of the masses of people being ravaged by this
Yes.
COVID-19,
Yes.
and be able to say, you know what, it is time to scale down.
Wow. And I think you've just touched on very sensitive areas
Yeah.
that have caused people to have a lot of double-mindedness about the matter.
Yeah.
But you have clarified a lot. And
Yes.
thank you so much about
you.
that.
Yeah.
I think because we are just digging the foundation, yeah?
Yes.
And there are some other factors in terms of business and entrepreneur, or even in the workplace, that have always domineered, even if we don't speak about them.
Yes.
For example, the area about equipping somebody to know how to position themselves in the place of the competition
Yes.
and pricing.
Yes.
I want to hear wisdom about somebody wants to venture into a certain business. What are the key things that they should look at after they scan for the opportunities around them, the environmental opportunities around where they are? What and they want to enter that market.
Yes.
What are the key factors that they're supposed to look at after they have established what they want to do?
Wow, thank you so much. Jim, every time as Christians, when you launch yourself into any field,
Yes.
you need to know that you're actually working for God.
Yes.
You need to know that you're serving the Lord.
Yes.
And therefore, it is a ministry
Yes.
that you're actually getting into.
Yes.
You've already carved out your niche.
Yes.
Or you're already in the masses,
Yes.
but you've already selected what you want to do.
Yes.
The first thing that you need to know is that you're not alone.
Yes.
In that field,
Yes.
there are other people.
You're not the first one.
And you need to keep all the time that the field
Yes.
is fair.
Yes.
It's a fair field.
Yes, a fair play.
Fair play field.
Yes.
Keep it fair play.
Yes.
So that you are not oppressive.
Yes.
And at the same time, you're also not denying yourself, because that is the way it's supposed to
Yes.
be. But talking to that, first know that there's competition.
Yes.
And there are two main types of competitors.
Yes.
There's what we call perfect competitor, and then you have the imperfect competitor.
Yes.
A perfect competitor offers goods very similar in terms of characteristics
Yes.
to the one that you're actually offering.
Yes.
So those ones you may find, the only difference would be the brand.
Yes.
It could be the quality.
Yes.
It could be the size in
Yes.
terms of the SKU
Yes.
or the stock keeping
Yes.
unit. So you may find that that is actually a perfect competitor. So you're competing for the same use.
Yes.
The second type of competitor is what we refer to as imperfect.
Yes.
So they are competing with you, not maybe for the same type of use,
Yes.
but it could be a very good substitute.
Yes.
Or it could be they are competing for the same money.
Yes.
Because the consumer or the shopper
Yes.
or the customer
Yes.
has got only a certain amount of money.
Yes.
So you need to look at those two people. The first one that you need to take care of is your perfect competitor.
Yes.
You're offering the same types of goods or services.
Yes.
You need to be guided first by the authorities.
Yes.
Is there an authority, like competition authorities, that talks about the fairness in terms of the way you price?
Yes.
So it's good to look at that.
Yes.
The second one is the environment where you're operating.
Yes.
So you also compare that
Yes.
and you check and see
Yes.
that you're actually not overpricing, neither are you undercutting.
Yes.
You know, you are playing within plus or minus a very good level.
The cost of production factored in?
Yes. Even if there are not so many factors within there.
Yes.
As a Christian,
yes.
as a person of integrity,
yes, sir.
make sure that you do not overprice. Prophet Micah talks about the weights and measures.
Yes.
And says, for all those people who are not going to apply those, then they also are not worth, you know, to enter into the kingdom.
Yes.
So it is actually very important for people to know that as you compete, it's not supposed to be unfair.
Yes.
The same case comes to your expenses.
Yes.
I mean, the way you pay people and all that, try to play within that. You will grow with time and you'll be able to fit somewhere.
Wow.
Competition can actually kill you.
Yes.
Much as I say there are two types. Always check the competition that drills a big hole into your business, because there can be one who drills a big hole and you find you're completely wiped out.
And the other ones which
from the face
the other ones which
the
have
others
small
drill
holes.
very small holes.
Yes.
Big businesses are affected by the small ones.
Wow.
Like a big bucket of water with small holes.
Yes.
You will never know which one to seal.
No, thank you so much about that. Tell us now, after we have identified our competitors, the perfect and the imperfect competitors.
Yes.
Although I know we can't exhaust everything about the competition.
Yes.
These are the key factors that will position you in the market about your commodity pricing.
Yes.
Or your service pricing.
Yes.
Yes. What did you say about
Thank you. I think when you look at that, let me just labor a little bit on the competitor and then come to the pricing.
Yes.
So when you're looking at this competitor, you need always to remember that there are ways of enhancing your business much as their competitor.
Yes.
There's nothing that is so critical than what you call the soft skills.
Yes.
How you handle your customer. I mean, you've been told time and again that customer is king.
Yes.
Even in employment, your next customer is the person you report to, the person who reports to you, and the people that you work at the same level. The same case in business. The people who come to you, your employees,
True.
You know, the government offices where you go to,
or
even the private people that you actually interact with to provide you with the services. So that said, you need to look at all that. But always remember the small leaks, they can actually cause more harm than the big one. The big one you can see just visible. A little bit, and it is easily visible. Now, talking about the pricing, and we normally say that there are various ways that you could actually price your product. But one critical factor when it comes to pricing is the cost. The total cost, the cost of production or the cost of the good, plus all the other auxiliary associated costs. So you got to build in all those costs. If I look at the businesses today, and I may be wrong, most of them, they're making a gross margin of between 15 and 20%. So whatever it is that you build on with about 20%, by the time you factor in now your expenses, if you have a soft landing of between 8 and 10%, you're already in business. What you need to look at thereafter is to build the volume. So that once you grow your volume, you'll be able now to lift up your numbers and you'll be in a better space. So the cost of the goods, or the cost of production, or the cost of service is actually key. When it comes to pricing, for new businesses, the first thing that you need to ask yourself is, do I have a pricing strategy? And you always say that there's a penetration strategy when you're getting into the market. But that will be determined by one, the type of product, the consumers, and the environment that you're in. Let me explain. If you are playing in a field where the product is actually for the niche, it's for selected few, you may need a premium pricing strategy. And the premium pricing strategy calls for you spending a lot of money, the initial investment is actually huge, and therefore you need to put your price high so that it is able to take care, because you do not have many people that will be able to get your money back. So get those few people to take care of the cost.
I think you've just mentioned very core components, because every business, they must evaluate about the competition around them, and also be very strategic in their pricing of their commodities and services, so that you remain competitive at the same time, and on the other side fair, and to be on a balance, isn't it? And I think this matter of pricing has really been a very very dicey matter, because you find some people strategize on the mass volume.
Yes.
And therefore they're able to do with a lower price.
Yes.
And they can do big numbers. And you know, they say numbers don't lie.
They don't lie.
And then there's this other person who wants to sell this product, but it's not a premium, but he's selling it at very small quantities.
Yes.
So he cannot be able to stretch to those levels of an economy kind of a pricing, isn't it?
Sure.
And there must be a kind of a strategy to be able to evaluate where you are at, isn't it?
Yes.
At every single time.
Yes.
Wow.
There must be that. And the other critical thing is how you drive demand.
Yes.
It can still be the mass market,
yes,
but you're not able to drive demand.
Yes.
You know, we got to know how to also create the demand for the product or the service that you're selling.
Yes.
Whether it is premium or it is actually for the mass market.
Yes.
And that is why it is important for you to know what's your marketing strategy.
Yes.
How do you get how do you get customers around you?
Yes.
And in this digital era,
yes,
you got to go to that particular space.
Yes.
Many businesses will not actually go far
yes,
without that. You may start now,
yes,
and you may not be able to utilize that for now,
yes,
but use the simple one. For
yes,
example, every business can actually utilize the WhatsApp
yes,
today.
Yes.
If you belong to a group, you can actually do the bulk messaging.
Bulk messages.
I mean, if you check, most of the people are able actually to look at that and say, I can actually do this,
yes,
and send the messages to people. And surprisingly, every time you make an attempt,
yes,
every time you make a go,
yes,
you get some people responding.
Anthony, you are so loaded. I know we can't exhaust everything.
You
are so loaded with information until I'm wondering, this show can't fit everything which you want us to hear.
Thank you.
But there's something you mentioned,
yes,
and I think we're going to wind up on this matter. I want you to talk about where you feel that you need to be able to transition the organization or the company at any single time. Where do we go wrong and where can we go right in terms of succession and exit and transition?
Thank you so much. Jim, I want us to, let me give a simple community, I mean not a simple example.
Yes.
The Asian community have learned this thing.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know, I mean it is possibly it is in their blood.
Yes.
It is in their system,
yes,
in their DNA.
Yes.
You find the Asian community when they're doing business, yes, including little children,
yes,
they're just around them.
Yes.
They're growing around there.
Yes.
I mean, talking in their language,
yes,
and talking to each other.
Yes.
Most of us, and especially in this side of the world,
yes,
African,
yes,
and you closer home in Kenya,
yes,
you find rarely you find that a husband and wife, they're actually not able,
yes,
to work in a place, or the spouses, they are, yes, not able to. And when your son comes in,
yes,
it even becomes complicated. We have a very serious case in Ireri recently.
Yes.
You know, that gentleman who decided to send some guys to go and butcher the son,
yes,
because they are competing in business, whatever it is. So succession planning is actually very key.
Yes.
And you got to start early.
Yes.
Getting people interested,
yes,
in coming on board. First, it could be the people who can help you.
Yes.
You're confident,
yes,
you can trust them.
Yes.
And that is where we're talking of spouses,
yes,
or someone in your lineage.
Yes.
So they're actually able to come and help,
yes,
in your family. So succession planning is very key.
Yes.
Because when you plan, you may also get yourself into some eventualities. You may, yes, not know everything, yes, that is going to happen, yes, tomorrow. And what will happen is this person will actually fit in, yes, and be able to carry on, yes, and be able to take care of the family, be able to provide for the bills, yes, be able to continue investing, yes, and expanding the business.
Yes.
The other side is you may also want to identify an employee, because when the business becomes complex, yes, it is no longer a family matter.
Yes, yes, yes.
And that is why families are now being encouraged to get into proper governance,
yes,
so that you're able to bring on board other people,
yes,
independent person,
yes,
who actually report to you. You get a board,
yes,
get a friend there,
yes,
get an expertise there,
yes,
bring on board so that they're actually able to sit in,
yes,
and they'll actually be able to help you in terms of how it will be tomorrow.
I think, Anthony, you've mentioned very key things that we need to look at. I know we can follow up this matter later.
Yes, yes.
And I like the example you've borrowed from the Asian community,
yes,
that they have been able to model the family, yes, unit to follow a certain path,
yes,
and to continue for continuity of business, isn't
yes,
it?
Yes.
And they have followed through this. I think I've also been following about the Jews community.
Yes.
They have been very consistent in passing that entrepreneurial skill to their generation,
yes,
so that they can propel that business to the next level.
Exactly.
However, as you have said, at a certain point, it may reach and it may not pass the fourth or fifth generation.
Sure.
It needs to be, we need to bring some corporate governance.
Yes.
so that the vision can be propelled beyond the family level, isn't it?
Yes.
And I think we have examples around here of where some patriarchs in some businesses, when they died, their businesses collapsed.
Yes, still, yes. But
because there was no...
Others are still flourishing.
Yes. So I think we need to encourage people, and especially now that we are talking to men.
Yes.
Don't be very only confidential to yourself.
Yes.
Things can happen.
Yes.
Talk to somebody else, bring somebody on board,
yes,
and let them learn what you do, isn't it?
Yeah.
And tell them all the places that you have invested in, isn't it?
Do proper documentation.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your parting shot, my brother?
Let me just mention one quick thing.
Yeah, our time is up.
Any business that is not owned by the government, it is owned by a person.
Wow.
And I think it is very important for people to know that.
Yes.
And now look at Kenya. How many businesses are owned by the government?
Yes.
So they're very few.
Very few, very few.
So the rest of the businesses that
owned by individuals.
Owned by individuals.
Yes.
I'm just think about that.
Yes.
Coca-Cola was started by a person.
Yeah, it's true. But it's running through.
But it is run across the world,
yes,
because they were able to get to that particular space.
Awesome.
So my parting shot, dear viewers, thank you so much for being with us throughout this hour.
Yes.
We want to encourage you to start the business if that is where you feel your calling is.
Yes.
Start small.
Yes.
Learn from those who are ahead of us.
Yes.
And make sure that you put proper plans as to how you're going to exit and who is going to be the next person to propel the business.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a great time having you around here, and we have learned a lot from you. We only can desire to have more time and dig deeper and connect and also unload those information that you have.
Thank you.
Great having us around. It was Man Unveiled. I have been your host, James Ireri. It has been a great privilege to be here. Let's connect another time, at the same time, the same station, and God bless you. Thank you so much.